Well, folks, this is what you've been waiting for.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Well, I think so.
It is.
This is Gab and Dad's 2009 year-end roundup, the best movies and the worst. And I know there's a lot of excitement out there in our audience, a lot of anticipation, I know that. But stay with us and all your questions will be answered. We're gonna start with the best, our best three. We haven't talked about this amongst ourselves. I don't know what hers are, or she doesn't know what mine are. Gabrielle, your third best movie for the year 2009.
My third best for the 2009 is Avatar.
What? Avatar?
Yes.
And that's why you put this picture up.
Well, that's why I decided I had to go with Avatar, because that picture was there. Yeah, obviously you've seen it recently, but it was the most anticipated film of the year in the community in general, and it paid off. It delivered. It was spectacular in its effects, a real leap forward. It had its other
Except
weaknesses.
for the plot.
As we discussed in our Avatar review, it had its other weaknesses, but those aside, I think that overall as a whole, it really had a great impact on film this year.
Cutting
and
edge,
forward.
sort of,
Very cutting edge and
way of the future.
Highly satisfying. Just it really is transported me in the way that film really is supposed to.
Did it transport you to the planet Pandora?
Not literally, but for the 2.5 hours, it definitely did. Will it live on video in the same way? No, I'm sure it'll be eclipsed over time.
I saw James Cameron interviewed, and he mentioned the possibility of a sequel.
Yes, sequel's already been talked about, so we'll see. But for this year...
More of the 10-foot high blue people with tails.
Maybe we'll have another color, I don't know. But for this year, that definitely had impact on number 3 for me.
My number 3 was The Road,
Ooh.
the film version of Cormac McCarthy's well-known book, starring Viggo Mortensen. And I picked it because of its artistic integrity, the powerful message it delivered in a powerful way, the excellent cinematography, and I think a fine performance by Viggo Mortensen. And I think what made this film, or enabled this film to be excellent, was the fact that it was firmly rooted in this very fine book, this very fine literary work, which it did not abandon, it was very true to, and therefore it came across magnificently. That's my number 3, The Road. I
agree, very true to the book, and yet the cinematic adaptation enhanced. I mean, it brought a lot to it. It was true, and yet took it to another level. I admire this film greatly, again, as we discussed in our review. I toyed with it for the top 3, but I think it fell short for me in the sense that it didn't transport me emotionally quite as much as I was expecting to, and as much as the book did.
No, but yes, I know you felt that way, but it stayed with me. I mean, I found myself for days afterwards thinking about the images on the film, which was not the case, for example, with Avatar.
Oh, interesting.
So that's number 3. Number 2.
Okay. My number 2 best film of the year will probably meet with some controversy, but for me, I can't deny, for me, Where the Wild Things Are.
I agree, my number 2
too.
Really? Yes, my number 2
great.
too.
This was the film community was very divided over this one. People love it or hate it.
Not just the film community. I heard some sort of talking heads on a BBC podcast, literary types, going on how awful the film was, not true to the book, didn't sort of capture the book spirit and all of that.
To me, I think it did, and yet it took it to a whole other realm. Interesting comparison with The Road in terms of a book adaptation.
We should mention that Where the Wild Things Are, as our viewers probably know, most people know, is a film adaptation of a famous famous children's book by Maurice Sendak called Where the Wild Things Are.
But a very simple book in terms of...
10 sentences.
Yeah, in terms of the words and the images. But this film just brought so much more to the table. And I found so many layers in it.
Visually beautiful.
Visually and emotionally.
Emotionally quite wrenching in a way.
There is so much going on in this for me on so many levels that I cannot let go of this film. This year is the second most one that will stay with me and impacts, as we said in our review of that one.
All right, so now it's the big moment when it comes to the best films. The best film. I think I can guess what your best film is. I think I know what your best film is, but put me out of my misery. Best film for the year.
Nothing puts you out of your misery.
Yeah. You've been talking to your stepmother again. Okay, the best film of 2009 for Gabrielle is...
I repeat myself from the summer. I cannot let go of my best film pick for the year is District 9.
And I agree with you.
Wow, wow.
I agree. District 9 is my best film.
So, I mean, there you go. Again, you can watch our best of the summer or watch my original District 9 review. This, again, on so many levels, just really delivered a satisfying film experience.
And brilliantly original. I mean, this film scored 100% with originality. There's so much stuff in the movie theaters There's just the same old rubbish reheated and served up again. This was not that. This was brilliantly original, and also because it was in some ways clearly an allegory about apartheid in South Africa. It had this political message, this political sophistication to it.
Very smart.
Very smart.
But so
film.
entertaining.
And extremely entertaining. This film delivered on all counts. Best film of 2009.
I agree. Originality. It had a lot of familiar elements to it, but just sort of turned them on their head or used them in new ways. And so exciting to see this new filmmaker. I think that should be mentioned in terms of, you know, what this year, what's come out of it, is this very exciting new talent and the lead actor as well.
Yes.
I really look forward to seeing more from both of these, and I think that's the best thing you can say coming out of the best of a year is the promise of future delivery.
And just before we move on to the fun part, which is the worst films of 2009, I want to have a sort of special mention here. And that is Invictus, while we're talking about South Africa. Mm-hmm. Invictus, which is, at one level at least, the story of the 1995 Rugby World Cup in which South Africa beat New Zealand, is an interesting film, but what makes it stand out is, for me at least, is the performance of Morgan Freeman as Nelson Mandela. A brilliant performance, much better than the context, the film in which he performs. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether he'll be nominated for Best Actor, but I found this the standout performance of 2009, and I want to mention it especially.
Interesting. Well, there's lots of films that had elements of them that maybe were the best in class, but we were trying to look at overall. Yeah. But that's a very good point. And another point I want to make is obviously we haven't seen every film of the year. No. So if you're wondering why this wasn't mentioned or that, the film Up often comes up as the best. Haven't seen it. So, I mean, we can't pick something that we haven't seen. Okay. So, but other than that, let us know what you think.
All right, now the worst, and let me start on this.
Are we going to do it separate?
Are we going to do it
separately?
We want to do it separately?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So
I have so much to say about the worst.
All right. I thought we were going to combine it all, having told you the best, now tell you the worst, but I'm informed by my director here that we're cutting this one, and we will separately record the worst, so you can sample each as you wish and when you wish. All right, so there you have it, 2009. It's the last day of the year. We look forward to many movies in 2010 and reviewing them for you.
Good and bad.
Good and. Just remember this, for 2009, it's District 9, the best. It is Where the Wild Things Are, the second best. And we have a disagreement on the third, but not a huge disagreement. No. The Road for me, Avatar for Gabrielle. And we'd like your views on what you think of our selection. Now, stay tuned if you like, or get ready to watch the worst movies of 2009. And there were lots to choose from.